Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the one and only r/EntitledParents. Now, I haven't been on this sub for a while, and I absolutely love it. So let's get straight into this first one by user/Chala Udaku. My freshman year, I was roommates with a guy who had fairly well-off parents. Let's call him John. John was a child actor, and although he isn't one you'd recognize immediately, he's played side characters on big sitcoms and did some voice acting on some pretty popular kids shows. His parents hold him to very high expectations, and they were very strict with him and his acting. So, when he got into our university, which is considered a top 10 university globally, his parents held him to the same standard. Which, for a now liberated young adult with almost no maturity, he did the exact opposite of everything he should have done. He slept all day, partied all night, never studied, didn't go to class. Yet, when his parents would call him to check up on him, I would always be mentioned in the conversations. They needed to make sure that I was a good influence on their son. They would tell him they would consistently ask if I was partying often, doing drugs, bringing girls over late into the night. Pretty much everything he was doing. They wanted to ensure that I wasn't doing it to keep their son safe. This goes on for months. Whenever his parents would call him during his midday nap and I'd be in between classes, I'd always hear him defending me to his parents. And he'd go beet red whenever I'd walk in and hear what they were saying about me over the phone. So I'd leave and wait until his call ended, since I knew he already felt embarrassed enough. I didn't really want to think of what they were saying either. I just thought it was ironic and told John afterwards that he didn't need to apologize, since they weren't his thoughts. Around the end of the semester, John is told by his major department that he would likely flunk out of college if he didn't ace the final exams in at least 2 of 4 of his classes, and that he would have to retake the other 2 regardless of how he did. Moreover, that he would lose a scholarship that paid a substantial amount of his tuition. He had to call his dad to tell him the bad news while I was on the top bunk of the bed studying. And his father is shouting so loud that I can hear him through John's phone with my earbuds in. Eventually, the question is asked if I had anything to do with John's bad grades. And before John could say anything, his dad determines that John was covering for me because I was a bad influence, and that since I was around him all the time, I was the reason he failed. He demanded to speak to me and wanted me to tell him everything I did to his son and how I corrupted him. And when John said that I didn't do anything, it only made him angrier. And after telling me that I would pay, he hung up. He already knew my name and of course where I lived, but I didn't think he would do anything with that information until I got a call from the university's Student Affairs Center telling me that John's father had requested access to my personal information through the student portal. Basically, a website with financial aid and enrollment info, and to change my passwords in case I thought my data was at risk. I tell John that his dad tried to access my info, and of course he called his dad to ask him what the F he was doing. Dad said that because John was failing, he was pulling John out of college, and that he was coming in a few days to talk to me about my part in all this. John asked him again why he asked the school for my info, and John's dad just hung up on him. I couldn't focus on that BS at the time since I had my own exams to prep for. But, as he said he would, he showed up as this fairly skinny, balding guy, desperately trying to cover up his receding hairline by brushing as much of his stringy blonde hair to the front of his head as possible. I came down with the flu right before exams, so sadly I was forced to be in the room while John moved out, with his dad berating the both of us while I have my earbuds in and feel like I'm gonna puke. John looks like he's going to cry because he doesn't want to leave, and I peek over my laptop to see his dad putting books and notes in the garbage, and repeatedly asking John if he officially withdrew from the university until John just barked yes at him. John's dad turns to me and says something along the lines of, "Alright, now you." Again, I insist that I didn't do anything to his son except live with him. And the dad demanded that because I turned his kid from an accomplished actor to a college dropout, I should withdraw from the university too. John is now yelling at his dad to leave me alone, and I'm telling him that there's no way I'm dropping out for his ego. He demands my laptop and portal login info, and I tell him that if he even so much as touches my laptop or me, I'm calling the police. This escalates to a straight-up shouting match among the three of us until the RA knocks on the door, warning us that if we don't quiet down, he'll get campus security to come up and settle the issue. The dad quiets himself again and calmly asks me to withdraw again because it's only fair. I say no, because again, I didn't do anything. There's a silence in the room as he approaches the edge of my bunk. He's glaring at me, I'm putting my earbuds in because chemistry won't study itself, and he asks again, gripping the railing and almost hissing the question. I say no, again, didn't do anything. He finally decides that I'm not worth talking to anymore and says that he'll tell my parents everything I did, and that they would make me leave college if he couldn't. And with that, he left with John. I got a text from my dad about a year later, and that both he and my mum basically told him and his wife to F off and never contact me again in far more eloquent terms. I then got a barrage of emails, texts, and Facebook posts from the parents pretty much saying that I was at fault for ruining their son's life, and that I don't deserve that seat at my uni. So I blocked them. Every now and then, my parents would get Facebook messages or emails. They were ignored. John angrily reacted to my graduation pics on Facebook a few months ago, so out of paranoia that they were spying on me through his account, I blocked him too. I hope he understands. And OP does clarify in the comments that John is currently at community college, so I hope John is doing better for himself. As for the parents, absolute nutcases. I hope they don't harass any more poor kids. And here's our next post by user/forweirdlip. About a week ago, at the gas station I work at, it was snowing pretty lightly, and it was real chilly out. Definitely like the kind of bundle up weather. I'd just passed the 7 o'clock mark on my 2 to 10 shift, and it was already pretty dark. Contextual bits, my gas station doesn't have public restrooms. All we have is a couple of porta potties round the right of the building. Not a lot of light over there, but it's better than nothing, considering we're a couple dozen miles from regular civilization. Back to the story. This guy, entitled dad, maybe 30 to 35, had an attitude from the get-go. And his daughter, quiet child. She said nothing and just sort of did what her dad asked her. She looked around 5 or 6. Come into the gas station and have about a 10-second look around the place, before looking at me and asking if they could use our bathroom. We've only got porta potties around the right of the building. What? Not even for her? The porta potties are all we've got. It's goddamn freezing out there and there's hardly any light. You're gonna make her go out there? Sir, I've already told you, we don't have anything but these porta potties. And unless you think she can hold it for a while, she's just gonna have to use it. Unbelievable. He grabs quiet child's arm and goes outside to the porta potties. At this point, I'm ticked off because 1, he just tried to guilt me using his daughter, and I hate when parents use their kids like that. And 2, he's dressed in a pretty snug overcoat and winter hat. She's wearing the thinnest pair of pajamas I'd ever seen. No coat, no gloves, no anything to keep her warm. They come back about 5 minutes later, and he's still huffing about the lack of public restrooms. Well, that was horrible, cold and dark for a little girl. Yep, I'm being dismissive because I'd rather he just spew his nonsense and leave than try and prolong her being out in this weather like that. Finally, they both come up with their stuff and I start ringing them out. I notice how sad quiet child looks and I lean down before entitled dad knows what's going on and ask her pretty plainly, would you like a sticker? We keep a big folder of stickers for some of our regular kids. QC nods, shivering. I quickly grab a couple sets of the girliest stickers I can find and walk around from my register and crouch in front of her for display. She picks a sticker, purple cat playing with yarn. I pat it down on her shirt and they leave. Entitled dad, totally silent and brooding. Moral of the story, dress your kids properly and maybe you won't have to worry about them being cold and upset. And here's our next post by user/NordicGopnik. I'm a native Norwegian, but I speak many other languages. Sorry for any spelling mistakes. I was with my friend in a restaurant in Germany. He's a German and I'm a Norwegian who can speak German. So that's what we usually converse in. Anyways, we were at a table, and Entitled Dad and his kid were at the table too, as the restaurant was busy. I noticed that they had really southern USA accents, like something out of a television show, but I didn't care. I wasn't at a restaurant to listen to people's conversation. After a bit, our food came, and so did Entitled Dads and kids. I was talking to my friend and eating my food when the kid started talking to me. He was around 5 years old, as far as I could see. I didn't want to be rude to such a young kid, so I talked with him about normal kid conversational things. Friend was polite too, but the kid was visibly confused over his accent. A little later, Entitled Dad started talking to the kid again, and I kept talking to my friend. So far, so good. But I didn't know what would happen. ED starts talking to me. What are you saying? I don't want people saying bad things around, Kay. We weren't talking about anything bad. You shouldn't worry about it. Tell me what you were talking about. No thanks. I went back to talking with F, but we only talked for about 20 seconds until I heard ED say, "Hey, did you hear me? What do you want? Tell me what you said." No. Stupid. Fine, just talk in English so I know anyways. Now I thought, who's he to tell me to talk in English? This is Germany, for God's sake. Of course people will talk in German. I started talking to my friend again, but I just gave up trying to be normal and polite to ED. Did you listen? I said speak in English. No, listen, it's Germany. People speak German here. Is that enough, or do you need to go back to primary school? F was grinning and shouting in German to the Entitled Dad. ED looked like he would smash the table if he could. He stood up, I stood up and looked down to him. He was way shorter than me. My friend in German, "Ha, yeah, what are you going to do now, huh? Stop, I'll punch you, I swear." F stood up. He's shorter than me, but still way above ED. The Entitled Dad was yelling threats at us, but the real thing happened then. Fine, you wanna try? Hell yeah. Hold on, wait, hit on 3. 1, 2, 3, oh god. ED fell back to the table. His face was covered with his hands, but I could see blood. F looked triumphant, but shocked too. I went to the kid, who was shocked too. I calmed down the kid. Kay said to me he'd felt that before. I asked him how, and he told me that the Entitled Dad had been harming him. I later told police, and the Entitled Dad was arrested. F was not told off for anything. Don't mess with the German guy. And a little update from OP, as far as he knows, the child ended up in a foster family in the USA, so I hope this kid is doing better than he used to. But guys, with that said, I think I'm gonna leave it here for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos every second day. But with that said, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.